Well, let's go into game 2 and see if Fafnir and Freya get given to Cringe Crew again, because I doubt that'll be the story of this game.
I would hope not, at least for the most part. They banned out Terra, giving up the Fafnir, and the most common combination of those is the Fafnir Freya, is the Fafnir Chronos, those late game magical hunters. You ban one, you're gonna get the other.
I think it was a good call from Cringe Crew to go for that composition, but I have also got to give credit to the Ratatoskr as well. I mean, we've seen more and more of the Rat just lately, and Repikas had a very good game on that set.
They definitely did a great job, I would say, of shutting down Wlfy in these early to mid-game team fights. You know, they were able to dive him in the back. We even saw that team fight on the right-hand side of how well they orchestrated the attack onto him. We saw Zyrhoes diving in the backline, which set up the through space in time. And that bought enough time for just the patience of him using his ultimate. He didn't want to use the ultimate right away because of how much pressure was on him.
I feel as well, Zyrhoes really showing what he can do with that solo lane characters as well. Late game, he seemed to become into his own in terms of, I will tank this tower. I can weather the storm here. Let's lead by my example. Follow me in, boys. I'll go to the back and I'll take aggro. And then we all pile and go for the kills.
And the most important thing was surviving the early game for Zyrhoes and for Shaggyshenk. You know, the Freya Amaterasu, we were talking about it. That was their weakness to try to exploit for Cyclone, but they didn't capitalize on it.
That's very true. Well, decision time for Cringe Crew because of the bans coming out. There's a lot of things available right now, and Cringe Crew believe with those 4 gods banned out, Terra is the best pick.
And that's interesting Freya ban because Terra is available, Fafnir is available, so going for more of the space control instead of the team fight presence, even though she does have good team fighting as well.
Now I want to see Cyclone pick up Jingwei again very quickly for VoteNBK here. Make sure they don't give that power duo lane potential with Terra and Jingwei we've seen before in the SPL.
I'm surprised that Cyclone picked Fafnir at this point in time because more than likely that is going to be a Terra Guardian.
Can Terra solo that well though?
You could, but using your double dash, you're inviting a jungle gank if you're utilizing your double dash just to clear the wave.
I mean, I'm thinking more for team fight wise and like global presence wise. It's not bad to have Terra in the solo lane. I was thinking
it's a possibility for sure. It's just really hard to box in between the waves. That's not something really Terra wants to do. She could be very comfortable though with just her sustain off of her obelisk.
Well, we're Sol locked in here for CycloneGG. That could be the dual lane partnership there. Once again, a hyper carry mage with Fafnir is fantastic with the coerce. Cringe Crew will go straight back to Repikas's Ratatoskr here, who had a fantastic game 1.
It definitely worked out well for him in that first game. His global presence was just too much, I would say, for Cyclone. It was Wlfy, at least in the mid lane.
Second pick for Cringe Crew now, going to have a long, hard think about this one, and it will be Chronos, which we've seen default majority of the time over to Shaggyshenk in the duo lane here. Chronos combining with Terra. There's actually a lot of setup with that one as well when you think about it. The crushing walls into the time stop, into a time rift at the same time. A lot of potential.
Even the root can set up the time stop from Chronos, which is the great follow-up that you really want to do, and then save that last wall stun for the confirmed kill before they get away. And now Serqet being locked in for CycloneGG, they really want to try to control the jungle, I would say. Maybe even ganks the soul lane.
And we have seen this Chronos and Terra before. Obviously in the first set of the day we saw Fantastic run it as well, I believe. But the Chronos and Terra combination, with Accelerate, Chronos moves so fast when he gets the blessing out of Terra here that he's going to be insane to try and catch. Serqet though, she has a lot of mobility this game, and the anti-heal will be nice to deal with some of Terra's issues.
And that's why they get banned immediately from CycloneGG, trying to stop the damage reduction out of the Serqet ultimate. Now, I'm surprised that there even is a get ban, like we mentioned, because that's more than likely going to be that Terra in the Guardian role, right? So it might have been a good ban if they were expecting Terra solo.
This is an EU thing, though, because we saw this yesterday where Terra was picked and people were still banning Guardians, worried about Terra potentially not going into the default role of support here. Chiron locked in for CycloneGG. A little bit worried about that one, just because the root is very, very good from Terra to really shut him down in position when he tries to escape with his charge.
That's true, and once he does escape with a charge, you could potentially find the stun from a distance, shutting him down, or even positioning the wall just to prevent him from charging away in general.
I'll see what CycloneGG have planned for this one, because Vulcan's now been locked in, which tells me Chronos will be in the duo lane. And Amaterasu one more time for Zyrhoes, as Cyclone will answer back for Deathwalker, getting Erlang Shen.
And this is a nice idea, trying to shut down Zyrhoes in the solo lane, going for that Erlang Shen. Amaterasu, very weak early on. We saw how much damage the Robin was able to do. Erlang Shen is going to be even more effective at bullying out Amaterasu.
When I look at
especially with a cripple.
I mean, when I look at Cyclone's comp here this time around, though, a little bit worried about where the real engage is going to be. It's a lot required on the Fafnir hammers from Callus here. Also, kept going very deep and getting ultimate off very early in the engagement.
And that's going to be important for CycloneGG to really come off strong in the beginning of the game with Serqet and with Erlang Shen. Maybe even look for an invade in the jungle. Relics haven't been committed between solo and jungle out of Cyclone quite yet.
But at the moment, once again, Cringe Crew going to march into the jungle looking for any sort of potential pick early on. Not the easiest thing in the world to do with their composition, but it's definitely possible with some of the things that we've seen before.
And recognizing that Zyrhoes is going to get poked out, he goes for the Death Toll option, trying to sustain as much as possible. Survival is the key to his game against Erlang Shen.
And that's the funny thing, because you can see Bluestone or Death Toll on Amaterasu, but it depends on what the lane opponent is and what his design is going to be for that laning phase.
Yeah, especially if you're going to be boxing in between waves, which something Zyrhoes is comfortable with for the most part. You want to be able to get that extra 6 health per hit.
At the same time, Celestial Dog for Deathwalker will give him an extra little bit of a boost as well in those little skirmishes. If they do decide to poke out within hands over there, we'll see how the start happens this time round, though, because we saw an interesting one last game coming out of Cyclone. We'll see if they do the same thing again. At the moment, well, it's not going to be the same as last game. They're going to have actually the middle laner Wlfy is starting on the left-hand side this game.
Trying to do his best Yaman impersonation by going the Chiron middle. It's going to be Soul on VoteNBK, pairing up with Callus, which is still pretty good, I would say. You're controlling a lot of pressure with a Stellar Burst, and then once you get to that mid to late game form, the farm from NBK is going to be able to shred these objectives.
It's a real test for EmilZy and Shaggyshenk. These two have been together for a long time in that duo lane, all the way back to the Coast days, if anything else. And this combination that they're running here with the Terra and Chronos, they have kill potential in lane. Terra and Chronos definitely have it, but he's making sure they combine their abilities well to secure kills.
And just waiting on the right timing is the key of the game in the dual lane. In mid lane, Kero against Wlfy. Hunter versus Mage. Serqet going to jump in, doing a lot of damage to Repi.
But he gets stunned out immediately, and a nice meatball will make sure from Kero there that nothing happens from iceicebabyy there. iceicebabyy and Deathwalker do pick up the right elementals there as well. Left one's being done by Wlfy here. Definitely goes the way of CycloneGG.
Deathwalker losing some gold under his tower, kind of rotated a little bit too preemptively, and as a result, paid the price. He did hit level 3 though, so grabbing some experience at the cost of gold.
Left-hand side, a bit of aggression coming out from both as expected over here, and it's actually EmilZy on the backside, a bit out of position, I want to say, with how deep EmilZy is right now, still trying to clear out minions and forced through the jungler Shaggy. Well, he's trying to box out, and instead he's getting answered with a lot of burst damage onto him. This was a mistake from Cringe Crew's duo.
Very important purification being utilized by Shaggyshenk, preventing the slow from NBK. All he needed was 2 more in-hands off of that, but a nice rotation from EmilZy with a sustain.
Talk about aggression. iceicebabyy now going aggressive, going to try and force back both the mid and jungle of Cringe Crew. Kero taking quite a bit of poke there, forced to use his health potion. As into the jungle goes Cyclone, wanting these back harpies.
They feel that they can win the 2v2 skirmish, so that's why they're positioning themselves here. They have level 4 on the side of iceice. Repikas still at level 3. Serqet is vastly superior at this stage of the fights.
Yeah, and with that, they're going to abuse that situation. So Cringe Crew going to realize that and instead push out mid lane really quickly. They could potentially answer back by invading the enemy jungle this time round. However, iceicebabyy over ideas. He's looking for a bit of a cheeky shenanigan gank over in Cringe Crew early on.
It's only level 4 though. It doesn't have the ultimate available to really confirm the kill, and doing a great job counter invading is Repikas, and it's going to be solo style invade, so that's going to allow him to really try to catch up to Repikas.
Yeah, we actually saw Deathwalker on this right hand side as well. He rotated all the way to the back harpies looking for some potential pick there. What's up, Tolly?
No, nothing. Something
I
else
thought it was
happened.
something to do with the game. I was like, what's going on? What do you say?
No. It's going to be a gank onto the soul lane side, though. A lot of damage being done onto Deathwalker. Getting credited is Repikas now, trying to catch up to iceicebabyy.
Wow, I think that was a very interesting one between the two there. I mean, Zyrhoes popping his ultimate early, Deathwalker popped his as well, but the taunt couldn't even come through to give him a heal at the end of the day because the rotation from Repikas was just too quick, and that extra burst from the acorns was just enough to pick up first blood absolutely free in favor of Cringe Crew.
And that's what you really want to do, is give the first blood to your jungler. You get the mobility online a little bit quicker, the speed bumps are responding, but a lot of trouble is VoteNBK into the Disapparate form, so going to be able to walk away.
Yeah, time rift off the mark though from Shaggyshenk there. If that connected, VoteNBK could have been in a lot worse position. Disapparate was still being charged up. It does take a second or two to really utilize and come in handy, and by that point, Cringe Crew could really look to abuse that.
They are controlling the laning phase pretty well, I would say. They could have looked for some invades. Red buffs are respawning, boars are respawning. This is an option for them, but Repikas and Zyrhoes grouping up after their speed speed buff, going for blue. They themselves could look for some invades because the speed and blue from Cyclone haven't been done yet.
Still more aggression in the Jura lane, as you'll see, and EmilZy and Shaggyshenk will have decent wave clear up against the Soul and the Fafnir. I can't say they've got lane dominance over there. The sustain will make it part, though.
Erlang Shen making the rotation towards these right side mid harpies. It's going to be a little bit too late, though. Repikas getting it credited very cleanly with Kero.
And back to the speed buff goes Cyclone now. iceicebabyy going to get his speed buff. Has Warrior Tabby online, as does Repikas in the mid lane there. Got his Acon all finished off for himself and hits level 7 at the same time with his speed buff already in hand. And I want to see Repikas continue what he started last game as well here, Toli. I want to see him just continue to rotate around the map like we see for the first blood and try to put pressure on every lane.
It's going to be up to EmilZy, though, to set up the damage onto Kero, and then for Repikas to really find that cleanup kill in the backline. And then when Zyrhoes gets some levels online, he'll be a great big presence with his movement speed aura, with his ultimate. It's just such a short cooldown.
Well, the one benefit of having a Terra in the game is that if you hear an ultimate go off for Terra, you know there's action somewhere in the map. Is EmilZy mid lane going to pressure Wlfy a little bit here? Wlfy not going to panic, and you see how he held his charge there just until after the route ended to make sure he could use it successfully.
I'm surprised that the ultimate wasn't committed onto EmilZy, even at about 70% health or so. You know, you would have prevented the sustain from his ultimate, the meditation originally. So a little bit of a missed opportunity, I would say, maybe by Ice.
Yeah, we'll see what happens and ends up happening because of that. At the same time, we could have actually seen Kero ult there as well into the route, forced at least the purification out of Wlfy earlier on in this little game for the time being. 1-0 though in favour of Cringe Crew at 5 minutes in, and with the wave clear going in Cyclone's favour in the mid lane there, you can see the golden experience is still relatively even, but over to the solo lane we go again, and it's bad news for Deathwalker.
Great ultimate yet again from Zyrhoes and Repikas, just abusing this Erlang Shen that wants to be aggressive, and EmilZy getting caught out of position.
And can he get away is the real question now. Use the Terra's Blessing already. Vulcan ultimate doesn't really find them home. However, Wlfy's ultimate does. And the answer back at kill on EmilZy, who was just a little bit caught out of position there.
That's just really unfortunate for EmilZy, and that's something that iceice really needs to exploit. You can find some of these easy kills onto the Terra. As long as you're grouped up still, you have the damage support that you need from Wlfy. You have a mid-hunter that has a Transcendence finish at this point, starting to stack it up. So you have to be looking for this Guardian.
I'm going to look at the composition here. I like Cyclone because of the fact they've got a nice balance with a Hunter, with a Mage, obviously, in this composition too. Meanwhile, a lot of magical damage on the side of Cringe Crew this game.
Shaggyshenk looking for the right rotation. He sees NBK into that duel lane. Going to walk into Callus, getting stunned for his troubles. Trading out poke.
Yeah, Coerce was actually popped by Callus there to try and increase his in-hand damage overall there and actually get his attack speed up a little bit more, but it doesn't really help you that much.
I mean, it's all about min-maxing, right? You're just trying to poke out the Chronos as much as you can do to limit the effectiveness of his rewind if you could actually go for that kill.
That's the best way to play against Chronos. Poke him down, but don't kill him. He has a decision to make then. Do I rewind to 8 seconds ago now to get a decent heal, or do I just sit at half health and then only regen to half health?
Basically, you do have your accelerate for the first tick of it where you get extra HP 5 sustain.
That's true.
So that's one option.
It takes a while though.
It does take a little bit of time, yeah. Shaggyshenk has to be a little bit patient if that's the route he wants to go with.
Yeah, left-hand side though, VoteNBK does have a bit of a lead over Shaggy here, but he's got a couple of minions left for Shaggy to clear up on that left-hand side, so he may be able to answer back in experience. Walls come out from EmilZy, stunning 2 in place, and Wlfy rooted one more time. Backfire from Kero, didn't really find a home there as well, as Repikas comes in as well. The Vulcan only really hits Callus, and EmilZy is taken out, and Cyclone, well, they'll be happy with that trade overall there. Once again, they pick up the Guardian.
They committed the Serqet ultimate to find EmilZy yet again, not having the sustain available, no meditation available to really top you off there. You can't use your Terra ultimates to sustain you. Meanwhile, on the left-hand side, Stellar Burst poking so much, the Supernova being used and guides the kill before the rewind.
Beautiful from VoteNBK, and he's got credit to him to actually taunt there because it was a very good play overall. He made a decision for Shaggyshenk where he's like, do you want to rewind now? Because if you don't, you're dead. And Shaggy didn't recognize where that Supernova was going. The last hit came back towards him, and he got him the kill.
And more importantly, the initial hit of the Supernova, finding the knock-up. More importantly, to continue the rest of the hits is what NBK really needed to secure that kill.
Well, because of that, Cyclone could look towards the Gold Fury here, but at the same time, looks like they're all going to go back to base instead. iceicebabyy was on the solo side of the map here, pressuring Zyrhoes a little bit, but out of mana, he's going to be forced back to base, working towards his Jotuns now.
I just expect a lot of pressure from iceice constantly onto EmilZy. With that Serqet ultimate, you're limiting the effectiveness of her ultimate, right? If you can shut her down, because EmilZy didn't even use his ultimate during that time. He could have just used it for the rest of his team, looking to maybe find the cleanup, but it wasn't used.
I think that's the thing. I think the big things against Terra that could really cause us some issues in the games overall is maybe Odin rings for anti-heal and making sure she can't escape. And at the same time, Serqet able to chase down the mobility that a Terra has at the same time is stop the healing.
Well, speaking of being chased down, it's going to be Deathwalker that's going to get chased down. There's a lot of mobility for Zyrhoes onto the aura, and the reason why he's not dashing yet is he wants to wait for the turtle or the mink to silence that out mid-dash.
At the same time, though, you can see the advantage Zyrhoes has in this lane here, almost completing Breastplate of Valor at the moment. Meanwhile, the lane opposition here, Deathwalker, working towards a Witchblade that has now been completed, however, as the left-hand side, you saw the pressure onto Shaggy.
And that's what you really want to do. You want to get these kind of anti-attack speed items to limit the effectiveness of this Chronos, of this Amaterasu in the later stages of the game.
Repikas around this right-hand side here, looking for a potential pick on a rotation, or looking for an opportunity to ult. Early in the sky he is. 3 jumps very quickly, straight in, looking for Chiron and Kero. Well, Kero comes up big.
Wow. Just wow, the synergy between those two ultimates, between the Ratatoskr and Vulcan, was executed to perfection, but they're not going for any offensive play afterwards. Going for the Wlfy would have been a nice attempt, but it's still too early. Wlfy with a very short respawn timer.
It was a very good pick, though. I do like that one overall there. I'm surprised that Wlfy didn't manage to escape. Maybe, I guess his charge may have been on cooldown there. His 3 being on cooldown was the only reason I didn't see him use it at that situation.
He didn't expect that sort of play coming out of Cringe Crew. He had the purification that wasn't even utilized.
Yeah, that's true. And he ends up getting knocked up, which confirms the Vulcan ultimate as well. Kero getting himself on the score sheet. 3-3 now, approaching 10 minutes between the two teams. Gold is a slight advantage in favor of Cringe Crew, but it's not enough to take the game yet.
Still waiting for some play to be formed on the right side mid-Harpies. EmilZy could get targeted. iceice does have the ultimate to try to find the kill, but a nice position of those stones. But look at this. Look where Cyclone are going. They're going for the Gold Fury.
They are indeed, and already Chiron pulling this one, and he's got support from Callus as well. But the reset happens because Callus also, he slows it down for a second. However, Cringe Crew still do not recognize this is going on. CycloneGG get a free Gold Fury.
Nice play overall from Cyclone, confirming that one. And that's going to give them still some time to stay in the game right now. It's still a pretty even game, I would say. You know, Cyclone, they're down about 200 gold. They're down about 1,000 experience. But they still have a lot of playmaking opportunities between iceice focusing EmilZy, or whether it's Callus is grouping up with NBK.
And there's multiple reasons for that as well. I mean, Cringe Crew, I'm surprised they didn't recognize that could have been a situation for them there, that the Gold Fury could get taken with somebody being on the right. But Cyclone recognizing that both Kero's ultimate and Repikas' ultimate was on cooldown there was so fantastic to realize that those two semi-globals being down allowed them to abuse the situation.
And they also had 2 sentry wards around that Gold Fury, which opted for them to go for it. They saw the positioning coming out of Cringe Crew. They really overcommitted to the right side mid-Harpies.
This is an interesting fight though. Zyrhoes is not really winning this one whatsoever, and I think he's realized it just now as he just got a bit of a heal from his aura, but left-hand side, some pressure from Repi again, looking for, sorry, not from Repi, from iceicebabyy, looking for Shaggy, forcing the rewind out. iceicebabyy, however, did take a lot of poke from Repi, who was on that rotation with the Rat.
Repikas and Shaggyshenk's ultimates are not available, so this could give a little bit of a power play for Cyclone to start grouping up and forcing the issue. Either tier 1 on the left or middle should be the next target.
Now this is very interesting though, the fact that Zyrhoes has actually met his match at this stage of the game. An Erlang Shen with a Witchblade seems to be answering back the Amaterasu. I wasn't sure that was going to happen, Tolly.
Well, the later these little skirmishes last, the more favorable it's going to be for Zyrhoes, as long as he constantly finds the aura switching for that sustain. Now, the thing is, Deathwalker, his power spike comes off of using the steroid and the mink in combination to have that kind of attack speed.
Gotcha. And now the Witchblade as well gives him attack speed. And not just that, he's now picked Iqval up as well. This is a very aggressive sort of build coming out from the solo laner, but it does limit the amount of survivability their whole composition has now.
That's true. You want to be able to be the aggressor, finding the nice taunt initiation. Not having too much health or magical defense at this phase could really come back to bite Deathwalker.
I think the biggest thing he said there was magical defense, especially against a Chronos and a Vulcan as well. That could be an issue for them. Speed buff about to be started for Cringe Crew here, about to be respawned, so the trio in the mid head over there. Meanwhile, left-hand side, Shaggyshenk farming up a little bit as VoteNBK just went back to base. Has Book of Tough working towards Demonic Grip or Telkine's next. Shaggyshenk looks like he's going for Fatalis here, or maybe Wingblade.
Something we didn't talk about was NBK and Shaggyshenk's tower split push potential. You cannot leave that lane alone for even one wave. You leave it alone, Shaggyshenk with the Accelerate will pick it off, or NBK with 100% heat will melt that tower.
Well, at the moment, it's only a 400 gold lead in the duo lane for VoteNBK there. Is in the jungle, iceicebabyy, forcing Repikas back out, but EmilZy looking to go aggressive on Wlfy again. This time, Wlfy, he was having none of that one. Now the fight continues, though, and Kero Kero being focused in the jungle there by Callus, but meanwhile Repikas going straight for Wlfy, who's trying to get as much damage out as he can before he falls down. Kero credited the kill. Great meatball from Kero too, as they're looking for more.
They're trying to find Deathwalker. The turtle has been used, giving him the little bit of health shield that he needed, but a nice root. The ultimate didn't give him the sustain that he needed to, so finding two nice picks. Wlfy, he was just too immobile during the ultimate, allowing Repikas all the damage he needed.
Well, Cyclone don't really want to fall back here, but they don't have the wave clear to really stop Cringe Crew pushing on him with EmilZy. Just pushing them out a little bit more. They have to fall back to a tier 2 tower, and now they can look to actually invade the jungle, which luckily enough for them has just respawned.
They're just allowing a 1v1 on the left while they're split pushing in the middle. Now, there could have been a rotation from Repikas trying to accelerate the 1v1 on left, but instead looking for these invades, speed and blue instead.
Speed, blue, back copies, and even Shaggyshenk and Kero on the left-hand side now looking towards red buff. However, Cyclone are back there in time to make sure they can defend that. iceicebabyy will help secure it for his mid laner.
Cringe Crew up about almost 3,000 gold, heading to the 14-minute mark. A decent marginal lead, 5,000 experience. Wlfy is respawning in about a minute, and that's going to be the next power play for Cringe Crew. Whether or not, how frisky are they really feeling?
And that's the thing. I mean, the 5,000 experience lead you say there, the gold should be matching it, but that gold fury by Cyclone actually stops a lot of that. And the trade going on the left-hand side one more time, but iceicebabyy looking towards the red buff, blinking in, going for Kero. Rotation coming from his team as well to support. However, forced out, and the root will not connect. Well, he will, but iceicebabyy could just ambush away. Repikas, though, thinking about reinitiating there for a moment.
Trying to get as much poke off as possible. All the cooldowns were down from iceicebabyy, so they weren't afraid of that. NBK taking a lot of poke from Shaggyshenk.
Yeah, with that wing blade now in line for Shaggyshenk as well. A little bit more attack speed, survivability with the health, and also the slow from Stellar Burst will actually speed up that Chronos a little bit more.
Wlfy responding in 20 seconds. Repikas going into the air, probably looking for Callus.
Oh, the Terra's Blessing's been popped as well. They're looking to the left-hand side here, looking for VoteNBK, but he's not over there. Repikas couldn't reach there in time. Two ultimates used by Cringe Crew there, and they don't find anything from it.
Not at all. NBK, though, he is at half health, so he has to be very careful about his positioning. Repikas lurking around the corner.
But he's on his own, and he's still going to go in 2v1. Great hammer from Callus, though. Purification from Repi in response. Still look for the pick on to VoteNBK. Will force Vote back, and Repikas will get a bit of healing from the Monolith from EmilZy.
Without NBK here, this is going to allow Cringe Crew a slight window to start this Wlfy teleport from Deathwalker on the backhand side, but Zyrhoes is trying to zone. Meanwhile, Callus getting poked out by Repi on the back.
Yeah, Zyrhoes zoning away too for the time being, but in the jungle on the right, because the iceicebabyy and Wlfy are waiting around patiently for the time being. Wlfy gets reset, Deathwalker committed on, and Deathwalker's in a lot of trouble there, but the heal does come through from the taunt. I should say meditate, and now the taunt heal as well. Callus going to deny him a bit of option, but that backfire just bursted them so damn hard.
But now NBK is back into the fight. Stellar Burst not on the mark. A nice little zoning by Shaggyshenk and Kero, trying to find the shots through the wall. NBK going to get stunned down. A nice little backfire to follow up. Repikas is in the sky, going to try to go in the back.
iceicebabyy going in at the same time for Kero, but doesn't find these opportunities there. Zyrhoes, as Repikas picks up in the backside jungle. Wlfy was trying to flank, and the rat spotted it.
I thought he was going to go on to NBK, but he saw Wlfy trying to do a nice little flank. Didn't even get enough time to use his ultimate. This has been the reoccurring theme, just Repikas sticking onto Wlfy.
Well, Supernova is available here. iceicebabyy still has ult too, but Cyclone cannot find a kill. And actually, Cringe Crew, well, they wanted to push on potentially here if they can find someone, but in the end, they'll just fall back happy with the result of one kill in the Wlfy.
They have about a 4,500 gold lead. They're going to go for some of their buffs that are respawning on the right-hand side. They could go for some invades, though. With Wlfy still being dead for 5 seconds, they're going to go for right-side mids instead.
That's true. I mean, they knew the speed buff and the blue was coming up. They took them last time round, but they don't decide to do that. Instead, they fall back to laning phase and farm at their own jungle and spend some of this gold in hand. Now you can see about 800 on Kero, but he's happy for now. Needs a bit of penetration next on his list.
Speaking of penetration, Wlfy having the Brawler's B stick for the penetration as well as the anti-healing options, trying to shut down the Terra meditation, the Terra ultimate. It's a nice idea, but he's just not been surviving in these engagements. It's been all about Repikas.
Right-hand side, engagement going on as the pressure from the junglers of Cyclone is being turned on his head. iceicebabyy forced to run away, and Repikas wants blood. He's got the Terra Blessing too, but a great blink from iceicebabyy denies it. However, the rotation from Cyclone is here, and Repi is actually going to go for iceicebabyy again, but iceicebabyy ults Repikas. Meanwhile, in the jungle, Wlfy gets picked off as the rest of his team are looking elsewhere.
The Vulcan ultimate connecting a little bit. iceicebabyy trying to disengage. He has the speed buff, he has the mobility. He needs to juke for a little longer, but the minions secure the kill. Now Deathwalker is the next hit. Nice stun preventing the turtle from escaping.
Meditate comes out from Callus to try and help out his solo laner, though. In the jungle, there's a little bit of skirmish going on too at the same time as Zyrhoes picks up Deathwalker, and Callus can't really do much about Breathe Fire.
And that's going to be a 3-for-1 already in the favor of Cringe Crew. They're starting to be a rotation from Shaggyshenk underneath, trying to cut off the escape from NBK.
And now VoteNBK tried to rotate to support his team ahead of Shaggy, and in the end, he's going to pay the iron price himself. Zyrhoes credit for that kill. Only one member left standing, and that's Callus, who's just used his ultimate. Wlfy has respawned, however, but Cringe Crew looking towards the fire giant here. A little bit risky on some of these health pools here.
But a nice meditation is going to allow them to keep going. It's a level 17 Chronos with the red buff, having enough damage before Wlfy even gets in position with his own ultimate.
And can Wlfy even get here in time? He pops his ultimate, Wlfy, but can he steal it away? He does steal it away! Cyclone come up with the fire giant, stripping it from Cringe Crew.
Oh my God. So Callus was doing a good job zoning away Zyrhoes for a little bit longer, forcing the ultimate. If that ultimate from Zyrhoes was used on the fire giant, that could have been the confirm that they needed to before Wlfy got in position. They were so worried about Callus that they totally forgot that Wlfy had respawned.
I mean, why would you worry so much about Callus? I'd be more worried about the horse than I am of Callus. I mean, Callus has got hammer, right? That's about it.
I mean, it makes sense why Zyrhoes went for him, because you're trying to find the stun, but by that time that he committed onto it, just Wlfy was in position for the long-range artillery snipes. Just great presence of mind, not giving up the fire giant, working in conjunction with Callus.
I mean, they had a ward just around that area as well to see Wlfy's rotation into that area as well. I'm surprised that EmilZy didn't actually spot that one out and just keep him zoned a little bit further back with the CC that, you know, Terra brings. She could have kept him out. They could have ignored Callus for the most part. It would have been a less chance of losing it by ignoring Callus and focusing more on the Wlfy.
Cyclone, though, despite having fire giant on those 3 members, they're still down a little bit of gold, so they can't really go for tier towers 5-on-5. They're trying to go for more of these little ganks.
Purification straight away from Shaggy from the ultimate coming out from iceicebabyy there. So attempt, it's over, but the relic is on cooldown for now. He's still got Sanctuary Shaggyshenk, and he's still got his ultimate available too.
That's what it's all about, finding these little plays that you could. Now exploiting there's no purification on the Chronos. Could find a kill later on. They're going to start grouping up on the left-hand side.
No minions, though. And now they've got to fall back because the rotation from Cringe Crew is here in the jungle as well.
It's going to be on the backhand side. Zyrhoes and Repikas waiting for the right moment. Once Cyclone overcommit onto this tier 1 tower, they're definitely going to be able to clean up, but their wards are spawning their rotations out.
They want to push in, and Deathwalker is going to lead in the charge with the turtle. Todd straight onto Shaggyshenk, and Shaggyshenk pinned in position, going to rewind all the way back to full health. And round the back comes Zyrhoes with a very good ultimate as well. Reppy in the sky, going to dunk into, trying to find the potential kill when he gets down here as well. Meanwhile, on the front side, EmilZy doing a good job of CCing the boys up and keeping Cyclone busy. Cringe Crew grouped healthily enough, and Callus is being looked at.
He's going to be able to jump away, getting chased down. Zyrhoes trying to utilize his aura for the rest of his team. Shaggyshenk going ham onto NBK, a little bit off the mark with that timer, but they're still in the chase.
Shaggy. Accelerate is bursting him through, as well as the aura from the Amaterasu. And not only that, the Terra's blessing impacted Kero. Great meatball, and he's going to force iceicebabyy into a corner. Oh, he looked to the left for a second there, didn't he? Just trying to find iceicebabyy, and that cost him potential backfire on to Callus. But instead, Cringe Crew now can assault back and find a tier 1 left.
It's all about the mobility from Amaterasu that were able to chase down Cyclone. Now, they found the tier 1 tower, but they overcommitted. We were talking about them still being down a little bit. More importantly, experience than the gold side. We see Wlfy 3 levels behind Kero. iceicebabyy still 2 levels behind Repikas. And Zyrhoes is level 20 as a result of all this. He's been very impactful in these team fights.
Well, this Gold Fury will just extend the lead for Cringe Crew here. Block Cyclone are back. iceicebabyy the only one with an ultimate here. Repikas, however, has his and goes straight up and straight down. Looking for a pick onto 2. Now they're looking to try and clean this fight up even more. Callus has no ultimate. Zyrhoes going straight for Wlfy, keeping him out, as the Terra blessing is once again causing issues.
iceicebabyy is going to fall, but a Deathwalker trying to find the kill onto Shaggyshenk, but he's getting stunned out so well. Great job by Cringe Crew keeping Shaggyshenk alive. So that's 2 members dead, trying to steal the gold here at this stage of the game.
Man, Terra's blessing and Amaterasu sound the same in terms of those auras, so I thought I heard Terra's blessing there. It wasn't, but Gold Fury goes down. Cringe Crew 13-4, 22 minutes in, and with those heals coming out from the monolith, they're looking to push on mid.
And they have the accelerate option on the Chronos for the HP 5. They're going to be able to top themselves off really nicely. There's still 2 members of Fire Tribe, but they're going into Wlfy.
Good backfire from Kero. They're going to force Wlfy out for now, which will get them a tier 2 tower. The rest of the team going to push on as well. Repikas with a very good stun will secure himself another kill.
And that's 3 members dead. iceicebabyy is now respawning with a nice meditation. EmilZy going to tank up the Phoenix and allowing Shaggyshenk to really find the hits.
And they're going to force VoteNBK and his Supernova 2. Callus will make them spread for a moment, however, before they could look to reinitiate one more time here. Cringe Crew, good hammer too. iceicebabyy lurking on the left, has no ultimate here on the Serqet either for versus 5.
The sustain from EmilZy is just too much for Cyclones to really handle. They're able to stay here forever if Cringe Crew really want to. And now Zyrhoes in the backline, forcing out Callus with Shaggyshenk's damage. Now the mid Phoenix being looked at.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to take this mid Phoenix down nice and easy. That Monolith just consistently healing them up as that hole went through. And now they can swing around to tier 2 tower. This was against a Fire Giant team here, Tolly.
23 minutes into the game, Cringe Crew, they found the mid Phoenix. They're going to find themselves their first Fire Giant as it was stolen earlier away from them. So now it's up to iceicebabyy to really try to stop this.
Well, they're going to get the blue buff and the speed, as we saw there. Fire Giant still not available for about another 5 seconds here. iceicebabyy is trying to be making things happen with this the whole game, but he's 4 levels down here, Tolly, and he's not a great god on defense, is Serqet.
He was making some great plays onto EmilZy earlier on, but he wasn't able to find the invades immediately after. The respawn timers were just a little too short to exploit, and it's going to be a surrender.
You what? I don't get that one, Tolly. We've seen some weird surrenders in the past, but that's probably the weirdest one I've ever seen.
That was pretty anticlimactic, I would say.
Really
Even though
was.
they were down 10,000 gold, it was still a timing where they could have still defended, I would say. But either way, that's going to give another win for Cringe Crew, giving them 3 points out of this set.
Surprising result there to see Cyclone surrender. I can see that they were behind, but at the same time, very strange stage to surrender. They could have at least gone for one more team fight, the Fire Giant, like they stole the last one. I mean, had the opportunity. But yep, 3 points to Cringe Crew. So that climbs them up to 6 now in the standings overall today. What else is there to say now? That's just kind of thrown us both for a loop.
Yeah, I was caught off guard completely by that surrender. It was just so anticlimactic. So they were behind so many levels more than anything else, right? They had to defend their mid fire minions being flooded in. They were like, if we even commit onto this Fire Giant, we're probably all going to die here. But at the same time,
They stole the last one. Like,
they stole the last one, but it's also the second game, which makes it even more awkward for us, right? Like, I would understand.
I mean, I care about us. It's like, that's just weird.
I would understand if it was the first game, right? Like, okay, we're drained mentally. Let's get a fresh state of mind for the second game moving forward and wipe it clean. But the second game where everything else is on the line, that's the difference between getting 1 point or 3.
That's true. I guess on defensive duties as well, it's a little bit more difficult for them to be able to defend against it. Very well played by Cringe Crew, though, overall, with how they performed in that set. It was a fantastic performance from them. I think Repikas really shined on that Ratatoskr, and people need to maybe start looking at taking it away from him as well.
Oh, absolutely. We saw the win rate overall in the SPL from him. I think he had about a 75% win rate total for Ratatoskr, and more importantly, he was able to shut down Wlfy. There just wasn't enough survivability on his side. He kept getting focused by Repikas, by Kero, and it would have been probably better to have that Chiron in the duel lane and then have Wlfy play that solo.
Yeah, Kero game 1 as well, you mentioned him. I mean, game 2, I think he had a much better performance, got involved a lot more in the fights, and this was a great combo that those two did. Mentioning Repikas and Kero there, onto that gank on Wlfy, and from that moment, actually, I think that's where the game started to tilt into Cringe Crew's favor.
The experience was just too far behind, and that's why that surrender happened so anticlimactically.
Well, very crazy end to the set. That generally happens to me for some reason. I'm cursed with those sort of games. Anyway, we'll be back after the break with more exciting action for you. We've still got 3 more sets today. Be back after this break.